Hey, Nancy, how are you tonight?
Hi, Susan.
How's the drink?
I like this drink.
It's what did I call it?
Strawberry
smash.
Strawberry smash. It's good.
So,
is it fresh strawberries?
Well, I'm pretty sure they are fresh strawberries, but when we do the drink video, you will see what I mean.
Okay. We're anxious to watch this video. This one's delicious.
Yeah, it's really good. You sent me the funniest video earlier today about you getting ding-dong ditched with a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Y'all, they're learning this stuff early. So I know I was saying I was out last night and I got home and I was a little late. My husband said, "Did you look at our ring cam?" I said, "Well, no, I wasn't paying attention." So I looked at it this morning. He told me what happened. So I'm expecting high school, middle school kids, just having fun, being kids out there. But no, they're very young children. We're guessing, would we think 2 and 4?
Yeah, maybe, or 3 and 5.
I don't know. So we do live on a cul-de-sac, but we're kind of up a little bit more, and I think I know what house they're from. But either way, they're by themselves. And you see them come up their driveway. The 4-year-old rings the doorbell. He runs and leaves the 2-year-old. Then all of a sudden he runs, and I'm watching these 2 little kids run down the street. So they knew what they were doing because you hear them go, "Run!"
And they're laughing, and that little one, his little legs are moving fast.
He's trying to catch his brother, but I just thought, oh my goodness,
Well, at least it was during the day, and it was still daylight out, so at least they weren't out roaming around at midnight.
I just was not expecting to see them that young. Because we have middle schools on our street, and I thought, they're just playing around. But no, these kids are learning young.
They are.
So where are we going, Susan?
So I'm going to apologize in advance. We are going to wait on the Noah Press Grove just because I feel there's a lot of, this person says this person says that. We need something more concrete.
Right.
So when law enforcement makes a statement of importance or something, then we'll look at it more like that. But I'm not going to feel like it's too accusatory without having real solid facts.
I agree with that. It's kind of still all over the place. Not
It is.
confirmed.
It is. And things take time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, I love to go to Florida. We're going to Celebration, Florida.
Okay. That's right outside Orlando.
Right outside Magic Kingdom. Yes. That was a development to have. It was put there on purpose, like for people who want a more chill lifestyle, and it's like Disney, and it's pretty neat. When we moved Ariel into our apartment, we did stop.
Mm-hmm.
My husband and I stopped in Celebration to kind of tour because I knew I was going to do this story, and I wanted to tour Celebration, and I always have because I've heard it's pretty neat neighborhood. It reminds me of like the Desperate Housewives. You remember the Desperate Housewives show?
Love that show.
Yes. It kind of reminds me of that vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody's got a pristine yard. Everything looks perfect. They got where it would be our downtown area. They have their little downtown area. It has a huge lake. It's got restaurants, coffee shop, bakery. They have their own high school. I mean, even the post office was fancy. So I took a lot of pictures of Celebration. We will
share
post those. Yes. We will be talking about a murder, of course. And I did go to the house where this event took place. And I felt just sad for such a place that seemed like so happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the house even still looks sad. But that could be my own self feeling that way. But it
has this gloom over it.
I felt like it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I did. So tonight we're going to talk about Anthony Todt. So Anthony and Megan, they met in high school. They went to college. They're both physical therapists.
Okay.
When they got married and started having a family, Megan was a stay-at-home mom and Tony was a physical therapist. They lived in Connecticut. January 13th, 2020, Tony's under investigation for insurance fraud. So he was taking money that didn't belong to him for insurance through his physical therapy business. That business had already been raided months before. He knew he was under investigation. 2 months before this, he fled from Connecticut to Orlando because he knew shit was getting hot.
They're after him.
They were gonna get him because he did it.
Mm-hmm.
So on January 13th, the FBI agent is at their home in Celebration to serve a arrest warrant against Tony. He has 3 agents with him. The FBI, like I said, been looking for Tony because they wanna take Tony in. By the looks of the home in Celebration, no one seems to be home. The shades are pulled, everything looks dark, but that's not untypical. That's typical for Celebration because it has a lot of snowbirds.
Mm-hmm.
So people will come down in the winter and then they go back in the summer because they're just escaping the bad weather, especially older people. They can get away with it better than those people that have to go to work every day. But Tony and Megan were making this work. But then Tony walks out on the front porch. He looks sick. He can barely walk. He just has this extreme, strange acting behavior. He sits down for a couple minutes, and then he gets up and he goes back inside. And the agent's like, dude's here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get him. So he calls for backup from the local police because Tony's acting too strange. This is not the first time that the local PD has been called to this address because Tony's sister has called 2 times before. Once on December 29th and once January 10th because she hadn't spoken to anyone in days and she's concerned about her family. Because the last time she spoke to Megan, and I don't know if it was actual speaking to Megan or it was a text. I'm assuming it's a text because it's December 28th when this happens. And as I go on, you'll be like, there's no way that the sister spoke to Megan. But Megan had told the sister that the world was going to end on the 28th. So she said the world was going to end on the 28th. So I don't know the exact date. I got that twisted. Sorry. I make mistakes. But I don't know whether she was speaking with Megan or not. But she was someone
she thought was Megan. So it could have been a text.
Yes.
Somebody else was. Yep. Okay.
Yes. Because this would be the only encounter if she actually spoke to Megan that Megan ever said this.
Okay.
So I'm thinking it's more through text. And how do you talk to your family 90% of the time?
Texting.
Yeah. So Toad's landlord, he also had called local law enforcement because the Toads had not paid their rent in months. So they had this house. It's a pretty house. It's 2 stories. It's white. It's a nice house. I like the house next door a whole lot better. It was blue, like your color house. It was cute. But it's a nice house.
Mm-hmm.
But they rented that house because they needed more space. But one thing about Celebration, it's jam-packed full of condos. There's a shit ton of condos in Celebration. They owned a condo in Celebration. But this house that they were renting, they hadn't paid the rent. So he evicted them, put a notice on the door, and it was still there. So he was concerned because the notice hadn't been moved. And then he had found on Facebook a page that had been made looking for the Todt family. So, I mean, landlord's pissed he's not getting his money, but still he's concerned, hey, what's going on? And once you hear about this family a little more, you'll be like, it seemed like really highly
unusual for them.
Yes, exactly. So the agents and officers go up to the door. They knock on the door. Nobody's answering, but they know damn Tony's inside. They check the door and the house is unlocked. They announce themselves and they go inside because they got a warrant for his arrest. Once inside, the agents are hit with the smell. What smell do you think that is?
Well, they know what the smell of death smells like.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing that's it when they walk in and knocked on their feet by something.
Death. Tony's at the top of the stairs, and he is unsteadily coming down the stairs very slowly. Officers ask if anyone's in the house, and where's his wife? Where's Megan? He tells them she's sleeping, and the kids are at a sleepover. Law enforcement goes upstairs, and there's one of the bedroom doors open, so they go in. They find Megan deceased in her bed. They find Alec, 13, and Tyler, 11. Breezy, the family dog, are all dead. They've all died. But there's a child missing. Zoe. She's 4 years old. Where's Zoe? Law enforcement's like, hey, Tony, where's Zoe? He says he doesn't know. Officers check the home before they come back to the bedroom. They're looking for Zoe, and they do find Zoe under her mother's feet and legs. She was so decomposed that
they didn't see her the first time they looked in there.
That's right.
Because she's small, and now if she's that decomposed, you're going to tell us this didn't just happen.
These bodies have been dead for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even close to a month by the looks of the decomposition. Officers know this is a huge, huge deal, especially for celebration. This shit don't happen. Shit don't happen in the happiest place on earth because it was built by Disney. This don't happen there. Tony admits that he overdosed on Benadryl to commit suicide, and Tony's taken to the hospital because we don't want nothing to happen to Tony because damn Tony's got all the answers. But getting the answers out of Tony is a whole other thing. Tony is he's not good at telling the truth. So officers begin going through the home, and they find 2 knives with blood on them, Benadryl, zip ties, restraints on the bed, 2 BB guns, 2 cell phones. So he's got Megan's cell phone. And then there are like empty candy wrappers and Gatorade bottles in the bedroom. And then there's a suicide letter, basically stating the world's coming to an end. The family wanted to be together. They feared Tony's father, blah, blah, blah. It was typed. It was made to look like Megan had written this letter, but it wasn't in Megan's verbiage or voice or sound.
We talk about that. You can tell the way somebody writes, how they speak, if it's really them. So that's interesting. So that's made to look like it's Megan that wrote this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Tony's statement when he's in the hospital, he says he and Megan started on a spiritual journey. They wanted to be together. And if they wanted to be together forever, they had to die together. They made a plan back in June or July. And Tony does say he killed them. He killed them before Christmas. Stabbed and suffocated the boys, suffocated Zoe and Breezy, and the next day was Megan's turn. She stabbed herself in the abdomen and took a bunch of Tylenol PM. When she did not die, she had begged Tony to suffocate her. Then Tony tried to kill himself, but he was not successful. In mid-December, so back up a second, law enforcement wants to know about this family. Like, what do people in the neighborhood have to say about this family? Well, the last time anyone had seen them was in mid-December when the whole family was seen at a Christmas concert. This was the last sighting of them together. Neighbors say that the kids were great. They were polite, well-behaved, helpful. The kids were homeschooled, but they did go to a school a couple days a week. Megan went to yoga class. She enjoyed yoga. They were just a normal family. They didn't know Tony as well. He was a little reserved, but he was also gone all week in Connecticut for work.
Mm-hmm.
So he was only home on the weekends. So they were just a normal family. No one said anything about Megan being weird on the spiritual journey. And the spiritual journey we're talking about, if what Tony said was true, would be a weird spiritual journey. So here are the autopsies. There really wasn't a whole lot more answers. They all died of a Benadryl overdose. That was found in their system. The boys and Megan were stabbed. they're not real sure about Zoe or Breezy because their bodies were so decomposed, they really couldn't tell if they had been stabbed or not. I'm figuring Zoe was so small, she was easy to suffocate.
Yeah.
Tony was questioned after he got out of the hospital, and he says that in April 2019, Megan started getting really interested in the afterlife. Now, mind you, this was not a real religious family. I think they had, gone to church and different things, but they weren't Bible thumpers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And she really got interested in the afterlife because of her health. And Tony saying she was just in pain every day. She had depression. She had multiple miscarriages, which miscarriages are true. She had Lyme disease. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have Lyme disease, and a lot of people live with Lyme disease. It's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But then she started having visions of terrible things, that they all had to die together. Tony claims that they sat the kids down and talked about this plan about all dying together, and the kids were on board. Yeah, they all wanted to die with them. I don't think you would sit down your kids and have that conversation, and even if they said yes, they are too young to know. They just don't want to be away from their parents.
Right.
And that's still murder. So Tony started researching how to kill them. Putting them to sleep and stab them while they're sleeping seemed to be the best thing. Megan wanted him to kill the children and the dog all together. During the autopsy, though, Alex's autopsy, the 13-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
showed he did put up a struggle.
So he was trying to fight back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He did not want to die.
Yeah.
Tony arranged the kids in the master bedroom and put rosaries in their hands. And then he read he could kill himself with a pellet gun, thus the BB guns, and that did not work. And while his family is decomposing in his house in Celebration that he does not pay his rent for, he decided to take a trip to Sarasota, which is a few hours away.
Yeah, it's the other side of the state.
Mm-hmm. He went to Starbucks, so he had to get himself a coffee. He had gone back to the condo. He said it was to get the necklace for Zoe, but how many times are we going to go get the necklace, Tony? And he did go buy more Benadryl. After Christmas, he does say anything sent by the phones was from him, not from Megan.
So he was texting on Megan's phone, making it look like she was still alive.
Apparently.
Okay. That's what we figured.
So Tony was charged with first-degree murder of his family. He pled not guilty. He said he did not commit those murders.
Oh.
He says Megan did all the murders.
Hmm.
He has no memory of anything. He went to get the necklace at the condo and doesn't remember nothing at all. He says Megan was controlling, and they were in debt because they were living way above their means, all because of Megan. He just couldn't keep up with their lifestyle, so then he had to steal money, I guess. He only went to the condo for Zoe's necklace because she wanted her necklace. He didn't go. That's when supposedly Megan was killing the children. So we had talked about in the suicide letter, there was mention of Tony's dad, Robert.
Okay.
Okay. So
that's the one they feared Robert, you said, right?
Yes,
okay.
They feared Robert. Now, here's why they would have feared Robert.
Okay.
Because Robert, Tony's father, was married to Tony's mom, Loretta. Then it was Tony and Tony's sister, Loretta, and Robert.
Okay.
Well, Robert is a scoundrel, and he not only was married to Loretta, he was engaged to another lady and had a 17-year-old girlfriend.
It's all at the same time?
Oh, yeah, all at the same time.
Got it. We're following.
So, he was a teacher, and he had one of his special ed students. He convinced this kid, 17-year-old, to shoot Loretta. So this kid gets in the house, shoots Loretta in the face. Tony's there. He sees it. Later, when Robert got arrested, Loretta didn't believe that Robert had done this. She even testified for Robert, but Robert does get sent to prison for a while. Robert still states to this day that he's innocent, but the family never had much contact with Robert. Like, Tony had maybe seen him twice since that incident. But Tony decides to write a 27-page letter to Robert, offering his dad forgiveness. Tells his dad that he's innocent of the fraud and the murders. He doesn't want his dad to show anybody this letter, but it's out there. So, obviously, Robert did. So, Tony tells Robert he still loves his wife and children. She did the killing in front of him and then killed herself. He makes it sound like she could hardly walk, but then she's going to kill herself? Like, she's that strong to kill herself and 3 children and the damn dog?
And he's saying she stabbed herself in the stomach to kill herself.
Yeah. And there's, in the autopsy, it was proven that no, she couldn't have stabbed herself the way the stab marks
I was going to
were.
say, they could prove if she did that or not. When you said that, I'm like, it'd be interesting to see what they thought. Okay.
But in the letter, he says she has lost so much weight, she lost all her female features. And they only moved to Florida for Megan's health. She's the one who committed the fraud, not him.
Well, he's really blaming everything on Megan.
Yeah. He said that he tells his dad about the night that the family died, and he said that it was very strange because Megan was pain-free that day. And then she told Tony, I want you to go get Zoe's necklace. So he leaves. They were all going to go to bed early because they were just getting over the flu. But then he fell asleep in the car at the condo, and he got home really late, and there was melted dessert all over the table because Megan had made them all a Benadryl pie. I know you look like you want to giggle a little, but yeah.
He claims that she made them a Benadryl pie.
Yeah.
Where is he getting this stuff from?
Megan talked about a vision she had. She gave them the pie and stabbed and suffocated each one. He said he couldn't stand listening to her talk. He went to the bathroom and threw up. Got sick. And then he held his dead children and cried. He washed their little dead faces. He said, you murdered our children. Megan said, I released their souls. And he couldn't call law enforcement because she hid his phone. And when asked why he didn't go to the neighbors, he said, I live in Florida and there's snowbirds. But it's December. And anybody who knows Florida in December, those damn snowbirds are everywhere.
That's when they're at Florida.
And she stabbed herself. And there was lots of blood. And then she drank more. She was drinking wine, I guess, with Benadryl.
They like this Benadryl.
She asked to be alone, and she stabbed herself again. And he said, you stabbed me, and he couldn't do it. And she said, I finally found something you suck at. So, it's too much.
He's quite the storyteller, right?
Nothing adds up. Nothing is adding up. But anyway, even though Robert tried to kill Loretta, at least he turned this letter over. Or maybe they took the letter before it got sent to Robert. That could be too.
I was thinking that could have been it. Because they read all that stuff before the prisoners get it. So they confiscated that, I would think.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Tony. Do not ever play well, you know what? Let's play poker with Tony because we've been able to, I don't know. Tony is just like, what's that game the kids play? A truth or a lie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We could play with Tony and just say, lie. So when he goes to court, his first confession, because he was never read his Miranda rights, that got thrown out.
Oh, no. Oh.
They were not allowed to talk about the insurance fraud at all.
Why is that?
I don't know. It was not allowed to be brought to trial.
Okay. Well, that does show character, though, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any suicidal thoughts he had were not allowed to be brought up in court. And April 2022, the case starts. Oh, one more thing they weren't allowed to bring up in court was that Todt in German means dead. That's kind of off the wall, but okay.
I get that one. But, the embezzlement part I'm confused with. That sets a picture of why this could have happened, right? Okay.
I think so, but
okay.
Let me tell you.
You don't make the rules.
No. I don't. Or I'd have been like, just toss him away. Don't waste our time. So this prosecution, 3 days of trial and they rest. This is a big case. Like Karen Reed went on for weeks.
I remember this one.
Yes. So 3 days. Defense was even shorter. They only had one witness, and it was Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Tony. Narcissist, arrogant Tony. He does say he thinks that they died the 14th, between December 14th and the 18th, but he can not pinpoint the day. When prosecution got a hold of Tony, they just ripped him apart. And he was snapping back at prosecution, acting like an ass. But in the end, the jury found him guilty on all charges. He will spend life in prison with no parole.
Good.
An additional year for murdering Breezy.
The dog. So he even got convicted on the dog.
Yep.
And he never confessed to any of this.
No,
still.
he's appealed his conviction.
Oh, he's appealing it. Okay.
Yeah, so you know that'll have to happen for a while, but...
It won't.
So he sits his ass in prison, and he has no physical therapist license, and he's pretty much done for. He murdered his whole family.
And blamed it on this, all of them going to the afterlife together. But this was nothing that was ever, like none of her friends ever heard about this. None of the family ever heard about this.
No.
No.
Nope. It's just him making up stuff. What do you think? I mean, I just am curious to, why do you think he murdered his family?
Do we know if there was life insurance policies? Do we think that maybe he was going to leave and make it look like he wasn't there eventually?
I don't know. That
I'm
was
thinking
not
money,
brought up.
But just because you're talking about, the stealing the money.
Yeah.
They're poor, stealing money. But I don't know. So I can't think of any other reason unless...
I'm thinking, for me, I think that he hid that from Megan as much as he could, how much trouble they were in.
The
for money.
Financial? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't want to tell her. And it was easier to kill the whole family than to...
confess that he was, I almost used the word loser, but I don't
He is a loser.
Right? I mean,
yeah, that's what I think.
But why not just take yourself out and leave your family?
I don't know.
I never understand that when they do that. Right?
I have no idea. But he's fat and ugly.
I was going to Google him. So I remember this case, but I don't remember what they look like.
And the family's so sweet looking, but he is like, bleh.
Really? That's one thing I always like when I listen to crime stories. I like to see what everybody looks like. So again, and we're picturing them as you're telling the story, so we'll have to...
Yeah, you'll have to take a gander at him, because he's not attractive.
Not a looker,
and the whole family is so cute. They're such a beautiful family, and she's beautiful. And then you got him. And yeah, in his younger years, maybe, I don't know. After the whole story, I'm like, you could show me a picture of him at 18, and I'd be like, bleh.
But nothing's come up why he did this. I mean, he's obviously not admitting to it, but like I said, didn't want it to come out. But
well, here it is.
But what do you think was going to happen? He's living with the dead bodies. Now, do you think that day the police were there when he said he had tried to commit suicide with the Benadryl? Do you think he really was that day, or he was just...
I think when he realized that he is in trouble and he was going down, he didn't want his family to know what a loser he was. So he killed the family, and I think he had all intentions of killing himself, but he's a coward and
eventually
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're going to leave you on the note of the cuckoo clock.
Hello, Sydney.
So tune in 10 a.m. Well, I guess it is 10 a.m. on Sunday. But also look at YouTube and our drink videos. And please, please, please subscribe to our page.
Yes.
We'd really appreciate it.
And share if you like this episode. Thank y'all.
All right. Have a good week.